Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Disconnected from chat? What the hell are you talking about, sir? You don't know me! You little rat bastard from hell. So we need to head to the Lenaria Nature Park now. Before we do that, I believe we can get a book at the farmhouse over here. Warmer. I imagine we've had one of those, but you never know. Yeah. Disposable packet that warms the whole body. Cures freeze. Cures freeze. Meh.
The advantage is ours.
We don't really need to fight you, but might as well.
Now's our chance. An opening.
Boom.
I can do this.
Let's try that breath.
Huh?
Thanks.
Nice.
My turn.
It's like a wind elemental heal. It's pretty sweet.
Ha!
Aqua bleed.
Is everybody okay?
Water, please. Bum bum. We're over leveled for these enemies. Where's the farmhouse at? I think it's over here somewhere. I drop. Wolfie D. Oh, he got me!
Build a formation.
Enemy advantage! Oh no! They're kicking Elliot's ass. Damn, dude. Well, this is nightmare mode, so... Okay, can I take a turn?
I'm sorry, everyone.
Damn! Can I get a turn?
My turn.
Dude, that was effed up in the A, dude.
Huh.
Oh, she's confused. That's just perfect.
My turn.
Do you really have to be confused right then and there, Miss Thing? God, that was bad. Like, damn, dude. What cures confuse? There we go. Sedative.
Thanks.
Of course, she's probably gonna die because we're not gonna get a turn right away. Yeah, keep missing. Counter! Nice!
I can't.
Oh, she just barely survived that. Just barely.
Huh?
Breath!
Thanks. You have my thanks. My turn.
We need to lower their numbers. Oh, they broke our link, I think. Damn it.
Right.
Freaking broke our link, you son of a biatch.
Hey.
Hiya. confused again? What the hell, game? What is wrong with you? Stop being confused, you little bastard. We gotta have one that heals confused, right? And heals HP at the same time. That would be awesome. I don't think we do. Nothing heals confused, and it sucks.
Ha! You have my thanks.
Stop being confused, Alyssa. And now you're dead anyway.
Of course.
Oh, but her thing, like, revived her, so that's nice.
Hi!
Oh my god, seriously, game. I want to use Stayless to bring her back, but I can't. Because she's constantly being confused.
This could be bad.
You think?
Delicious.
That's good.
Bag of fries. Oh my, is this actually happening? Like, really?
Of course.
Oy vey.
Thanks.
Are you happy now?
Go.
Man, rat bastages. I am telling you. Radiant Dance!
My most powerful strike. Radiant Blade Dance.
Boom, boom, boom!
You still have a lot of training to do.
Man, that ambush just sucked. Definitely looking forward to seeing what Island Sanctuary is all about. Ooh. Pro tip, don't get ambushed by wolves. Because it's bad. Very bad. Especially on Nightmare mode. Leave me alone, sir. I think I'm gonna have to get rid of you.
Now's our chance. We can do this.
We can, in fact, do
My
this.
turn.
I'm quite certain about that. Autumn Leaf Cutter!
Now's our chance.
An opening.
I can do this.
Pretty sure you can do this, in fact. Bum 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 bum. Do 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 do. All right. Needle shoot. Boom.
Right.
We need to get our link back in order. What? For some reason that doesn't work. I don't know why. Weird.
Of course.
A horse is a horse, of course, of course.
You still have a lot of training to do.
Bum 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 bum. Yay! Hardy powder and antidotes. We gotta set it up here. Oop. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, it shows it's still there, so. Ba-da-da-dum, ba-ba-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. Yeah, this farmhouse is where we want to go. We should be able to get a book there. Stimulant! Do 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 do. Wii! Nintendo Wii! How you doing? Doing alright, man? Hanging out? Paul style. You'll find the Lunaria Nature Park if you head west, but like the name implies, it's a pretty deep forest. There's always a chance that you might run into monsters inside. It's something that everyone should keep in mind when they go in there. Not that it matters right now since it's closed for maintenance. Maintenance? Oh no! I came across a book I finished reading while cleaning the bookshelf, says Robin. I can't be bothered getting rid of it, so here, you can have it. You seem kind of busy right now, but give it a read later once you have the time. And we get Red Moon Rose Chapter 3. Yay. You know I haven't seen old Johnson around these days. Meh, Johnson. He was the park ranger at the Lunaria Nature Park, and he was super dedicated to his job. I'm kind of worried about him now. I wonder what happened to him. Oh, he's drunk. That's what happened to him. He's freaking drunk. Red Moon Rose. We have Chapter 3 now. Chapter 3, Foreboding. The next morning, Alphonse found himself in his commanding officer's Gerard's office. He had come to request permission to independently investigate the vampire murders. Gerard scratched his head before giving Alphonse a questioning look. His eyes filled with the kind of vitality one would expect from a much younger man. I belched, excuse me. You want to pursue that case all on your own? Alphonse cleared his throat nervously. He was well aware that what he was asking was completely unreasonable. Not on my own. A civilian has agreed to help me conduct my investigation. The two of us will be working together. Just the two of us. It sounded pretty weak to him, but Rose had been adamant that they keep the truth of the matter to themselves. Rose Zahara style. It wouldn't be to the benefit of society for the existence of vampires to become widely known, she had insisted. As such, try and arrange for us to be able to investigate the murders by ourselves without interruption. Aside from a cool farewell for now, those had been her last words before disappearing into the night. And what she said made sense. There was simply no way that Gerard would believe that vampires existed, even if it was his surrogate son trying to persuade him. After all, despite seeing a ghoul with his very own eyes, part of Alphonse still wanted to believe that it had all been a dream. To compound the problem further, for reasons that Alphonse wasn't privy to, Rose seemed opposed to anything other than investigating the matter covertly. As such, her joining the team formed to officially investigate the murders was off the table. Alphonse was therefore left with no choice but to propose that the two of them investigate together in secret. Alphonse was not surprised, then, to see Gerard's less than willing expression. Listen, Al, as your guardian, I've got a responsibility to look after you. That's why I want to raise you to be a fine soldier, and why I don't want you putting your life in danger for no good reason. Alphonse flushed. He'd already been removed from the team investigating the murders, as well as taken off night patrol duty. You said duty. Gerard was well aware of his fixation with the case. That was exactly why he was afraid that Alphonse might end up going too far in his attempts to solve it and get injured, or worse. Gerard, sir, I understand exactly what you're trying to say, and I appreciate your concern, but... Seeing Alphonse's determination, Gerard hesitated. The boy standing before him was calm with clear eyes. Because clear eyes is awesome. Wow. Where previously there had been recklessness, now purpose and resolve seemed to rule. After a lengthy silence, he let out a sigh of resignation and cracked a huge fart. You really do take after your father, don't you? He smiled fondly, but quickly switched to his official, commanding officer voice. I expect you to give your utmost to successfully solving the mystery behind these murders. However, I will approve of this mission only on the condition that you report daily on the results of your investigation. Alphonse almost responded in his usual casual tone, but caught himself just in time. He coughed, cleared his throat, and stood to attention. Gerard chuckled. Just be sure not to put yourself needlessly in danger. Understood? And if anything happens, inform me immediately. Yes, sir. Alphonse gave a deep bow, grateful for his guardian's kindness. I see that everything went well. That is good news. The two of them were in the corner of the shopping district where the first victim of the vampire murders had been found. It was the middle of the day, but the alleyway in which they stood was gloomy and draped in shadows by the looming buildings that surrounded it. The second he had stepped into the narrow passageway, Rose had appeared out of nowhere, just like the previous day. Because the place where Alphonse had been attacked by the ghoul the previous night was currently under investigation by the Gerard team, they thought it best to steer clear of it for the rest of the day. As such, they had decided to examine the scene of an earlier murder instead. Unlike the previous night, Rose had neither her coat nor her sword with her. Instead, she wore a simple dress in the local style. Anyone seeing her for the first time wouldn't be able to tell that she was anything more than a perfectly ordinary girl. According to Rose, neither vampires nor ghouls were able to operate in daylight, and thus battle-ready wear was unnecessary. Everyday clothing also had the benefit of allaying suspicion by blending in, she said. It was fine logic in theory. But with Alphonse still garbed in his military uniform, they made for an unusual pairing. As such, Alphonse couldn't help let out a sigh of relief when he realized how few people were in the surrounding area. The scene of the first murder still had a solemn air about it. Alphonse set about scouring the area, and as he mused over the case details involving the victim, a question came to mind. Thinking about it, I never heard about any of the earlier victims turning into ghouls. Is that because you've been defeating them? Rose shook her head. No. In previous cases, I was able to purify the bodies with thaumaturgy before they turned into ghouls. I would rather not harm the bodies of the deceased if I can help it. She became a black mage eventually. Thaumaturgy, as Rose explained it, was the collective name for special techniques used by a small number of people belonging to the Septian Church. The power of thaumaturgy was also apparently the reason why Rose's rapier and Alphonse's short sword were capable of defeating ghouls and vampires. Curious, Alphonse asked Rose if she was connected to the church, to which she responded, "Feel free to think of it that way." He itched to probe her more on the subject, but she began explaining the particulars about ghouls, so he let it drop. Since the murders had started, it seemed that the time it took for a corpse to turn into a ghoul was decreasing with every kill. Alphonse's encounter with the ghoul the previous night was the first occasion that she had been unable to purify the victim in time. As such, she had been left with no choice but to fight. This author really liked saying "as such." Still, that possibility was well within my expectations. It's not the first time it has happened after all. That someone like yourself would appear and try to get involved certainly wasn't, however, Rose said with a giggle, causing Alphonse's ears to turn pink at the tips. Anyway, he said, crouching down to inspect the ground level, have you managed to gather anything about the culprit from your previous investigations? Rose nodded. Judging by the bite marks left on the victims, I believe that the vampire is likely male. Furthermore, despite victims being found all across the city, the bite marks look the same as one another. That suggests the work of a single vampire. Beyond that, however, Rose fell silent. Somebody casted silence on her, and it was probably Hasty Stephen. Is something bothering you? Alphonse asked without thinking. Yes, actually. It may be possible that the vampire lurking in the city is... She stopped mid-sentence. Her gaze was focused on something behind Alphonse. Turning around, he saw a young man in a military uniform much like himself. It was someone he knew. It was Stand-Up Adventures! Elroy? What are you doing here? Apparently, it was Elroy Jedson. I was about to ask you the same thing, the other man grumbled. Elroy was a fellow member of the Gerard team who had joined around the same time as Alphonse did. That, combined with the two being roughly the same age, one might expect them to get along well, but in reality, they usually ended up arguing about everything. It had been like that for almost as long as Alphonse had known him. I'd heard you'd formed a separate team to check up on the murders, but I had no idea that it was just a pretext to be meeting a woman during working hours, Elroy sneered. Alphonse stifled his annoyance. At least it seemed as if the other man hadn't overheard their earlier conversation. Clearing his throat, Alphonse said evenly, "She's a civilian who's assisting with my investigation, so knock it off. And you? What are you doing here?" Nothing in particular. I just happened to be passing by. We've got to patrol a much wider area now thanks to all this vampire nonsense. Alphonse stood and gave him a cold look. Watch what you're saying. People in this area have lost family and friends because of these murders. Friends and family? Elroy snorted some coke and cast an uncaring glance at the spot where the first victim had been found. Ha! I mean, seriously? Vampire murders? We're supposed to be the Imperial Army, not a bunch of country bracers. Are we seriously considering the possibility that fairy tale creatures like that exist? And besides, what kind of idiot goes out at night when there's a serial killer on the loose? No, you're not. You're third, you idiot. They were asking for it, if you ask me. People need to stay in their damn homes and stop making more work for us. You son of a... Enraged by the sheer callousness of Elroy's words, Alphonse started towards him, or tried to, rather. Strong, unyielding fingers held him by the arm. Completely expressionless, and without so much as a glance to Elroy, Rose whispered, "Arguing with him serves no purpose. That time would be better spent investigating." She spoke calmly, but her words were sharp and dismissive. What she said was right, though, and hearing it was enough for Alphonse to cool his temper. As she said, they had more important things to be doing. He had sworn that he would solve these murders and put the past behind him, and that needed to be his foremost priority. He took a deep breath to regain his composure. The reassuring weight of the silver sword hidden in his uniform further reminded him of what he needed to do. Watching them, Elroy gave a bored, derisive laugh. "Oh, and civilian helper, or whatever you are, don't you go wandering around at night either. The last thing the army needs is more dead bodies to clear up," and with a mocking wave, he left them. "Don't you go dying on me!" After their inspection of the first crime scene, Alphonse and Rose spent the remainder of the day scrutinizing the scenes of the second and third murders. But in the end, their search yielded no fruit, or vegetables. After reporting their progress to Gerard, he made his way to the Allegria, where he had promised to meet Rose to discuss how they would proceed with their investigation. The city around him was bathed in the orange glow of the setting sun when Alphonse finally stepped into the sparsely populated tavern. He found Rose sitting at a table near one of the windows. Once again, she was wearing the navy coat from their first meeting. It seemed safe to assume that the rapier she used that night was inside it too. "Evening," she called out to him. "I was expecting you to be here sooner." Alphonse didn't reply. He was too busy staring at the girl sitting opposite her. "What's wrong, Luca?" You know, because we're playing Chrono Trigger now. Luca turned at the sound of her name, eyes so wide and moist that tears threatened to fall at any moment. Alfie, just what is this woman to you?" "What?" Perplexed, he looked over in Rose's direction, as if seeking an explanation. Rose favored him with a bland expression. "All I did was walk into this tavern and state I would like an out-of-the-way table to discuss the future with Al, and she'd been pressing me with endless questions ever since." She sighed and shrugged her shoulders as if she understood the situation no better than Alphonse did. Seeing this, he let out an even greater sigh. C4 style. Before Luca could launch into another interrogation, Alphonse set about explaining Rose's role as a civilian helping aiding an army investigation, and after several reassurances, he was eventually able to clear up the misunderstanding. Luca's relief seemed to fill her with renewed energy. Cheerfully, she bounded up from their table and made her way into the back of the tavern again. With her departure, so too left the gazes of the other curious and amused patrons. Rose and Alphonse bent to discussing their investigation. "Vampires," Rose elaborated, "were only able to use their powers at night. During the day, they were no different from ordinary humans. Unfortunately, this meant that even if they were to encounter one, neither of them would be able to tell. If they hoped to end the murders, they would first need to find some kind of clue as to the vampire's true identity." At one point during the conversation, Alphonse went pale at the thought that they might have to exhume the corpses of previous victims in order to reinvestigate them. But Rose assured him that would not be necessary. To his great relief, she had already checked them thoroughly for clues. Even that gruesome task had yielded little more information than the similarities between the bite marks, though. Their vampire foe was a cunning one, The number of bodies and lack of clues all pointed toward the careful killer, who more than likely was living right there among them as an ordinary human. After working their way through the simple meal that Luca brought them, Rose casually glanced over to the back of the tavern. "You seem rather close to that girl," she murmured. It took a few moments for Alphonse to realize who Rose was referring to. "Yeah, I suppose you could say that. I've known her for 10 years now, after all." He had first met Luca when he was brought to Heimdall by Gerard. Initially, he had stayed in a house near the tavern, and being brought by it often, the two of them quickly became friends. As an orphan, Luca's support over the years meant more to him than words could express. Telling Rose all of this, Alphonse could feel his cheeks heating. He began fidgeting awkwardly. Don't you hate when you end up fidgeting awkwardly? Sucks, man. "I'm a little envious," Rose said. As she spoke, Alphonse noticed a change in her expression and tone. Usually she easy for me to say. Usually she said things sharply, or with an air of cool detachment. Her face also rarely betrayed her inner thoughts. Now, though, he thought he caught a hint of loneliness. Unable to let this pass unnoticed, Alphonse opened his mouth to comment. Suddenly, Rose jumped out of her seat. Her chair fell to the ground with a crash. "I'm on the phone!" I mean, what? Once again, the two of them became the subject of a roomful of gazes. But she paid that fact no mind and stared out of the window, her eyes open wide. "A few days ago, Billy fell out of that said window." "Well, what is it? What's wrong?" Alphonse whispered loudly. "It's nearby. I can sense it." "It? What do you mean?" "The vampire," she hissed. No sooner had she said it, she raced over to the tavern's owner, who was busy at the back of the building, playing Super Mario Land on his Game Boy. Alphonse chased after her. He had never seen her in such a panicked state before. "Where is the young lady who was here earlier?" Rose asked the puzzled tavern owner, who didn't appear to have any idea who she was referring to. It was then that Alphonse realized that he didn't see Luca anywhere, and hadn't seen her since she brought them their food from a half hour ago. After telling this to the owner, he finally seemed to realize what he was being asked. "Now that you mention it, I would have expected her to be back by now. I asked her to run an errand over at the grocery store opposite here. It was probably Walmart." Alphonse and Rose exchanged a glance and instantly understood what the other was thinking. Overcome with a sense of great foreboding, the two of them rushed out of the shop without saying a word. And that concludes Chapter 3, by God. Good times. Alright. Moving along, and now that we got our literature reading out of the way. Alright, we want to go to Lunaria Nature Park. Yay! Victorious! Bob Ross picture style, even. Uh-oh. I think something bad's about to happen. Lunaria Nature Park.
Doesn't seem like anybody's here. I wonder what happened to those bossy guys who were here before. If they really are the culprits, maybe they've run away already?
Maybe.
This woodland is too dense to reliably intuit whether anyone awaits within.
Yeah.
What's this?
It's
a ring!
A bracelet?
Or a bracelet, that works too.
How did a bracelet come to be in a place such as this?
Just as I thought. This bracelet has the same design on it as the ones that the merchant from the capital was planning on selling.
Da-da!
Really?
You're sure?
Positive. There's not a doubt in my mind that it was designed by the same person. Care to give a second opinion on that, Laura?
I'm hardly qualified to weigh in on recent trends. But there do seem to be a number of similarities between this bracelet and the merchant's goods.
So the fact that it's here means...
Yeah. It's extremely likely the culprits we're looking for are inside this park.
Ta-da!
Sure seems that way to me.
Elliot's nervous.
It only opens from the inside. I suppose that leaves us little choice.
Are you going to destroy it?
Nah, she just pulls out her sword.
Will you be able to...
The lock seems quite solid, but my sword should be strong enough to...
Wait. I'll do it. I can get it done more quietly.
Oh?
Really?
Well, what are you going to do?
What are you gonna do, sir?
The 8 Leaves, 1 Blade School's 4th form. Autumn Leaf Cutter.
That is one of your crafts. Nice.
Seriously?
Wow! You cut it right in two!
Stabby, stabby.
I did, thankfully.
Spectacular. It's an honor bearing witness to one of the skills of the 8 Leaves School.
Thanks, but I'm still more or less a beginner.
More or less.
Anyway, we don't have much time left. Let's head inside and see if we can find them.
Okay.
Right. We need to find them before the sun starts to set.
Looks like we can still make it after all.
Excellent. Come then, we must make haste.
E. Steven. Bum 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 bum. Wii! Nintendo Wii!